Welcome back. Not sure if it's quite welcome back or if it's the week after, however Zach puts this together. But I have my tray swinging in the breeze. So nothing has changed literally since last week or earlier in the video, except it's now on a block and tackle, swinging off my shed, a couple of bits of tube clamped to it, spare wheel sitting in position, roughly. What I'm going to do today and tomorrow is start making the mounts to pick up. So the tray actually mounts to the body. So one reason for putting these on is so I've got a point to measure to. I can measure off the front mount back to the tube. Should be able to get it pretty central on the tray, on the car. Once I've got my front mounts sorted and I've got them tacked on, I'll move to my very rear ones. I'll clamp the bits of tube along here again. I'll center it up. Now, for the keen-eyed viewer, obviously that spare is currently poking out a bit. This whole tray needs to come up at the rear, but I will sort that out in a minute. And some of you may say, man, that looks really high. Yeah, it probably is, but you know, it is what it is, because it needs to be. Yes, it also won't go out of the shed. It has to come off so I can get the vehicle out of the shed, and then when I finally fit it up, it has to be all done outside on the driveway. But that is not a concern. So for now, let's start measuring this out and get it nice and square. So with my trusty Fat Max Extreme, pretty simple. Just going to measure from there to there, 280, and on the other side, 290. 285. 285. That was probably a bit too easy. Oh well, on to the next bit. Well, viewers, it's actually the next day. It's Sunday today. I just lost motivation yesterday afternoon and couldn't be bothered continuing. But what I did get done was I got my 8 little brackets cut. Tray's still in the same spot. I actually got bolts out. Started seeing the drill press up. But yeah, just crashed in the afternoon. Don't know whether it was just tiredness or my anxiety like severely getting to me. But we all have our moments. We all lack motivation sometimes. So this is a bit of real world footage for you guys. But despite me lacking motivation, I still need to get this done, because I really need my car back. I do have other cars to drive, that's not the issue, but I need this car back so I can load stuff and move stuff around and tow stuff. So I'm going to push through today and try and get these mounts on, because as soon as these mounts are on, I can actually show you guys all the sheet metal side of things. And because I'm no longer in the industry, so to say, still a metal fab guy, but I don't do big commercial stuff like I used to. I don't have access to the machines anymore. So I can no longer cut and fold my own stuff. I can still fold and cut small items, but for complex items like the mud guards I've got to put on here and the toolboxes, I've got to outsource that stuff to a third party. I've supplied drawings and DXFs and they've ordered material and I'm paying for it essentially. So it is what it is there. But the reason to get the tray mounted is I need to check the measurement from the front of the tray to the center line of my axle, because that front toolbox will determine its length, and then it also determines how big my mudguard is. So before I send those files off to get cut and folded, I need to 100% make sure they're going to fit. One thing I already have noticed is the width on them. It's going to be too wide. I think that was just miscalculations and early measurements I did between those outside, and then minus my overalls. But yeah, so let's do it. Let's drill some holes. So what I've done, guys, I've actually marked where I want my holes, which is 28 in, 37.5 center. That makes them all the same on the tray, so it doesn't matter where I put these mounts. I need to drill a 12.5mm hole. I've got M12 bolts. What I'm doing is I'm setting up whatever these are called, fixture jigs, clamps, T-slot clamps. I can't remember. I'm sure someone will know the correct name. And all I'm doing is setting it up, so I just have to put that in, line it up on my mark here. I can drill all of them in one go. This is a sort of an industry thing we do. Still center. And basically it's just so I can repeat everything super quick. Super quick. All this, everything you're seeing me use right now is available at Here & Forbes. Not a sponsor of the show, but a sponsor of my boss. Happy with that. That looks fast enough. And you get some lube because it never hurt. I'm going to drill 8 holes. So I won't film that bit because it's just holes being drilled. You guys know what they're looking like, so see you in a minute. I wish I could say I've done more today, but this severe lack of motivation is killing me. But I have the 8 mounts just temporarily bolted on. Obviously they're still just a bit loose because I haven't bothered to do them up too tight. I have now cut, I don't know what you want to call them, chassis rails I guess? Main rails, whatever. They butt up to the back of my light board, so they're nice and flush in there. Obviously land on the tube that's underneath. Pick up all the mainstays in the front. Now this is just because it's me, a 45 at the end of that. I'll cap that and do that. But for now, I've actually got it parallel to the side. I'm just going to run along with the MIG, nice and hot, and tack it on all these junctions, underneath as well maybe, just to hold it in place. And then I'll do the same on the other side, and then I'll actually get the tray to its final height and final position and get all the actual little droppers off and see how they're all going to work. Hopefully they work out just right. So let's do that. So I just spent the last half hour getting it even this way, getting it level to the front. I've ended up with 55mm to the back of the cab. So why it might sound like a lot, the tray will move. I don't want it to touch or anything with a lot of weight on there. The spare was my indicator because I want to run that underneath. Bit of tube clamped in there just to keep the height sweet. This clamp is set to push up and this one is pulling down. It's just my shed isn't level, so I had to use the tray as the chassis. So I've measured from this point to the underside. 230 mil on 4 corners. So now I'm going to measure these distances, probably take 20 mil, 25 mil off, and I've got some pieces to cut and drop in there. Should be able to cut 6 the same, because these all line up internally, which is nice. That was by chance a total fluke, I think. They all line up, yeah, pretty much. Yes, total fluke. Don't fucking, pardon my language, don't comment on how I managed to wing that. And then this one might be different, it might actually sit in the gap, but that doesn't matter. All right, saw is set up, tube is in there. Where's my tape measure? This one will do. This one is easiest to measure. Might just cut them at 140, I think. I'll give me a spot to get a nice fillet weld along the bottom. So I need 6 at 140. All right, guys, that is the tray mounted. It was pretty hard to push through the lack of motivation today. And apparently the sneezing. But, excuse the dogs. Tray is mounted. I ended up drilling all these holes out in my mounts to 14 mil. It just gave me a little bit more play and actually allowed me to get them right where I wanted, which was the front ended up beside the 35 or 65, as you can see. And these, the other 3 ended up underneath, which is sweet because the way this is going to be loaded, it's going to be totally fine. No, these are not just staying tacked either, they're going to get fully welded all the way around. I might even put a gusset under here, see how adventurous I'm feeling. But it's all lined up, it's pretty parallel. Yes, the headboard sits a bit high. There is reason for that. I'm building a camper as well, and I needed the height to get my tent a little bit more aerodynamic. There will be a light, what are they? An LED light bar that'll go under there, just a bit more illumination. Tail lights are on order, but tray is mounted, so it's firm. I've got to fab up a little pocket over here for the fuel filler and then change the hose routing. That's not really a huge drama. I've now got to measure from the front of my headboard to the center line of my axle and confirm the size of my toolboxes. It will also confirm the size of my mud guards. I will cover that stuff in the next episode. Like I said, I've got to get that outsourced to be cut and folded, so I could be waiting a little while, but hopefully, excuse me, hopefully they'll be here soon. But the skeleton is finally mounted, so I can move on. And correct, I can't fit it out the door. I do have to take it off to get it out, but I'll worry about that later. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And just remember, despite the lack of motivation, you can get stuff done. If you watch any other YouTube fab channels, whatever, a lot of them say half an hour a day or sitting on your ass won't finish your project. If you watch Puddin's Fab Shop. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you next time on Backyard Builds.